Hello, my name is Rain, and I am redesigning some of my superhero and supervillain OCs. I don't usually post videos on this channel at all. This is probably the first time I've ever done a spoken video. I thought this would be a good speed paint voiceover explain-y thing, because I've been watching a lot of character concept videos and really liking them. So I was looking through a bunch of my reference sheets and I was like, these are really old. And I designed them before I went to animation school, so I feel like my art is much better now and my sense of design, because this is really fun. And I'm planning on doing, how many do I have? Let me check. I have 62 characters to redesign if I count their supervillain and superhero costumes. It's just a fun exercise for my portfolio. And hopefully it'll let me practice this art style, because I really like it, but I feel like it's still in the beginning stages, so I want to get better at it. So the world of Supes is in a world where superpowers exist. The government experimented by putting superpower juice in small town water supplies. So Mary has the power to create fire. And from a young age, her parents encouraged her to hide her powers, because anybody who displayed their powers in public had to go to a government facility. Supervillains continue to exist because the supervillains, just their ideology was like, oh, we just won't get caught. We're better than that. Mary was inspired by those vigilante heroes, so she started a teenage superhero squad with a bunch of her high school friends, Riley, Ava, and Jason. One mission, she was fighting her ice nemesis, Frostbite, and she accidentally exploded the construction site where they were fighting, killing him. She did not get away in time when the government officials came, and so they took her away to a facility where she was experimented on for 3 years. Before she broke out with the help of another character named Sam. Pretty much, I just wanted to design Mary's villain outfit after she broke out, and then I wanted to design her redeemed antagonist look, because she does get redeemed eventually. Riley reaches out to her and she gets the self-care she needs. I wanted to incorporate some of her old design elements because I really like the way her hair looked. Like, it looked like fire, and I thought that was really cool. And her freckles, I really liked her freckles. It just added an interesting kind of character look. They pretty much kept her costume the same, like tank top and like armband things. I don't quite know what they're doing. And then I gave her like cool boots, because in her original she just had boring shoes, so I was like, let's go with cool boots. She seems like the type of person who would wear a good boot, you know? With her pose, I had drawn something before that I liked, but I never finished, so I kind of referenced that a little bit. And her colors are okay. I just pretty much, younger me didn't understand saturation. And I gave her a gradient because I figured that would be an interesting look. Her hair, I was like, maybe if because the reason her hair is long is because she was in prison for like 3 years, so I was like, what if she had long, like, brighter hair at the top to symbolize her internalized anger? Anyway, and it's funny because when I first designed Mary, her original power was like energy manipulation. I need something more. And then I looked at her hair and I was like, it already looks like fire. Why don't I just make it fire? I ended up being really unhappy with her original design. Like, I think I was just warming up or something, because there are so many little things that were upsetting me. So I fixed her eyes up a little bit, and her massive arm shoulder thing, I don't know what was up with that. I do really like how the fire came out though. And moving on to her redeemed antagonist look. So at this point in the story, she cuts her hair and dyes it brown so that, because technically she's still supposed to be in the facility, so she doesn't want to get caught again. And her orange hair is really recognizable, so she cuts it and dyes it brown as a symbolic letting go of the past moment. And Riley owns a lot of sweaters, so she now wears an orange sweater. And it has to be orange because fire. And also I feel like she's comfier in sweaters. She likes having the warm coziness around her. Her personality differences are definitely, she's much happier now. And she feels really guilty about being a villain because her whole reason she wanted to be a hero was to stop people from using their powers recklessly for self-gain. She ends up deciding to become a vigilante hero again to make up for all of the crime she committed. She actually teams up with another character, but that's spoilers, so I won't say anything. I also decided to give her purple Doc Martens because I have a pair of purple, like a eggplant purple Doc Martens, and I didn't have a lot of clothing reference when I was younger in high school, so I pretty much just drew all of my OCs in clothes that I wore. And I really liked how they looked on her originally, so I was just like, you know what, why don't we just bring them back, because it's a good look. And purple is a nice color, I think, to go with the orange. Of course, she has blue, too, but I figured it needed a third color in order to really, really shine. So I like how her short-haired version came out much better, just because she looks happy, and she looks much nicer. She looks like a friend, and it's fun because the last drawing of short-haired Mary I did was kind of bad, so it's nice to have a good reference to look back onto if I want to draw her again. So yeah, no, I really like how it turned out despite all of the fixes I wanted to do. And looking at them side by side, you know, they're different enough, but you can tell they're the same character with different attitudes. So the next character I designed was Riley. Riley was childhood best friends with Mary and was on the superhero team, and he has the power of electricity. And he feels really guilty about her being taken by government. So he's always looking for her. And I originally doodled this whole pose and did the line art and colored it and shaded it, and I spent an hour and a half on it, and I ended up absolutely hating it. So I ended up just scrapping the whole thing and taking it into Procreate on my iPad and just sitting down in the living room the next day and sketch out a new pose, and then I went and lined that. I decided to give him a jacket because he's very, he's like a comfy clothes kind of guy. He likes tea, so I gave him a mug of tea because he's always drinking tea in the story. He's always making tea, so I figured that would be a good prop for him to hold, better than the whatever, I don't know, he's pointing up at the sky or something. Who knows? I don't know what that old pose was. And I thought I'd show off his character a bit more. He's a pretty nervous guy, but he's also the dad friend, so he's always very supportive of his friends. So I wanted him to be in a more casual pose because the other pose was just so stiff and awkward, and now this one, I feel like this one is much better. I like it much better. So he ends up, after Mary was taken away, he ends up devoting all of his time in order to find her. So going on message boards and forums about supervillains and superheroes, trying his best to track down his friend. He actually grows distant from Ava, but closer to Jason, who supports him through the last year of high school. And Riley is actually going to university to be a therapist because he wants to help people a lot, and he's hoping that if he can use his degree to help Mary get over her trauma or talk to her and apologize to her, then he thinks that it's a good idea. Of course, he himself probably needs a lot of therapy too. He's been through it, but fortunately, he has a support network to help him. The shading was really tough to kind of figure out because I didn't want it to be too overpowering. So what I ended up doing was making it a gradient, green closest to his lightning and white further away, so that it kind of looked better, because I find the green too, that was another thing I didn't like about the other one. The green was too distracting. I feel like it took away from the illustration. So I decided to just go with the gradient, and then the hair was shaded normally, and then I was just matching his size. So yeah, I really like how the new version of him turned out. I feel like that's the Riley that I imagined in my head. but not least, I have Ava. And Ava's design is probably the one that changed the most. When I first created Ava, I don't really think I had a character for her. She was kind of just like the smart one of the group. She ended up distancing herself from Riley because he kept pushing her away, and moving in with her girlfriend Sophie, who she met online, and they live together happily. And she is ready to leave the past behind and forge a new future. She has the power to control plants and grow plants, which I don't think is clear in her original design. So I wanted to include like plant work, like plant embellishments on her overall dress thing. So she moves in with Sophie, and she kind of forgets about that part of her life, but Riley reaches out to her after he finds out Mary is out and being a villain, and asks her for help. And of course she's like, leave it to the professionals, don't go hunting her down, that's dangerous. But Riley does it anyway, and she ends up supporting him in the end because she cares about her best friends. She's an artist, so she's going to university to be a comic artist, which I thought was kind of funny because originally it was going to be a comic, so I was like, So I decided to give her some paintbrushes because she loves painting still lifes of flowers because she can make them in the best compositions by controlling them with her power. And since her power is more like passive, she tends to use it a lot more because it's not really provable, you know, like Sophie works at a florist shop, so Ava goes in there sometimes and grows bouquets and stuff. The part of her design elements, since she's changed a lot, she used to have dyed pink hair that was like in a weird straightened clump. I have no idea why I did that to her. I'm so sorry. And I really like the pink dyed hair, but I was like, no, gotta get rid of it. So I shortened her hair close to her head. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna bring the pink back, but I want to do it in a stylish way. So I decided to give her a longer haircut with the dyed hair. Because I think it adds a lot to her personality. Because Sophie also has dyed hair, so they're matching, which I think is cute. And I gave her makeup because she likes to do makeup too, very artistic. Did nails. I never really had a fashion sense for her when I first created her, so I figured she'd probably like pastels and like bright colors. So hopefully that comes across. So yeah, here's Ava. I think Ava is my favorite one out of all of them because she's just so different, but I just love the way she looks. So here are all of them together. I really like how they turned out. The Riley versus Riley. So thanks for watching, and I hope you have a good day.